So this is my side yard, the other front yard. Got a little bit of a garden over here, edibles and other stuff, and got a pineapple guava there, over there. So a little sweet potato action back there. Gonna plant those in Houston. And these are canna lilies that the kids and I are growing for the farmer's market. Some chili patines, again, Texas only native pepper grown for the farmer's market. You see the nice big pots. And then a Fetida passiflora, I believe is what this is. This is a passion vine, and it is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. The flowers and the seeds and just everything is just beautiful about this thing, and it does attract a lot of butterflies. Over here, we have a sunflower, Maximilian sunflower. This is the native sunflower here in Texas. I like to have asters in my yard because they attract pollinators, so there you go. Right there you can see I have a carpenter bee or a bumblebee house. They spend a lot of time in this area, so I wanted to put some up there for them. And one of my favorites, Texas sage. This is an El Dorado Texas sage. Another one of my favorites, another aster. This is a Greg's mist flower. Beautiful flowers on here. This thing really took a hard hit during the fall, or during the freeze. It's just now coming back, and actually you can see there's big gaps. Like there's some that died and is not coming back. Some up here died and is not coming back. Like, there's big gaps in this stuff. So it didn't really do well in the freeze. This is now coming back, but I mean, up until a month ago, this was barely here. I was having to pull weeds out of it because it couldn't even sustain the weeds. Anacostia orchid here. This thing's pretty awesome. I really do love the screening ability of this. That's one plant. There's a couple others growing up out of it, but it's only one plant. This is another Texas sage. This is my least favorite Texas sage. It is a Rio Bravo. I got this because all of the quote experts said this is my favorite Texas sage. It's actually the least favorite I have. That and that are the same plant. I like the silver leaves. I really like the way that pops. It's got pink flowers. This, I mean, look at the flowers on this. That's like minuscule. This is a pollinator garden, and to have minuscule little piddly flowers like that doesn't work for me. So, yeah, I am not a fan of the Rio Bravo Texas sage, my least favorite. Some canna lilies right here, and Zexminia, I think. I always say this wrong. I think it's Zexminia. Believe it or not, this is one plant. It gets huge, very, very big here. It really likes rocks, and I'm right here on a road. Well, just on the other side of the road, there's a lot of road base. Once you dig down 6 inches, it's all road base. I think this plant really likes that road base. Lantanas, native lantanas here. You can see the butterfly on it right now. These native lantanas are bulletproof, so hardy. And there's one in here that's not native, the Texas red. You can kind of see a little bit of red right here. It's a little bit smaller. I leave it here just because you can't even really tell the difference. But it's not the native, and believe it or not, butterflies and bees don't go to that one as much as they do the other, which is I find very interesting. Back here we have an orange, I forget what it's called, like Special Fire or something like that, Esperanza. This is not my favorite Esperanza, to be honest, but this Esperanza blooms when nothing else is blooming. There's about a 2-week period in August when nothing else is blooming. This Esperanza is in full bloom, and the hummingbirds and the butterflies and everything comes to this Esperanza. It's the only thing in bloom in the whole neighborhood. That's the only thing in bloom for about 2 or 3 weeks a year. So I keep them. I got like four or five of them. This is one of my favorite plants, sensitive briar. It's found all over the world. It is native here to Texas. And really cool about this is it has a move. This plant moves. It has a reflex. So you can see I touched where I touched. The leaves are closing, and look at these leaves. They're full open. See that? In case you didn't believe that it happened. Here, let's look over here. Look. These leaves are full open. Let's touch it. Now these leaves are fully closed. Check that out. Really cool there. So this is mealy blue sage. Again, the experts say to cut this back in the fall. I have no idea why they would say to do that. If you cut it back in the fall, or if you cut it back in the summer, it doesn't bloom in the fall. It's blooming right now, and it looks beautiful up against the blue and the orange. I mean, this looks like a sunset right here. That's beautiful. This is my bollard. My neighbors used to pull in here and they'd run over my garden. And so I educated them. This bollard has been moved a couple times, but nobody's running over the garden anymore. I think people are getting educated. This is another one of those Esperanzas. This one took it really hard during the freeze. I mean, it's not even coming back really. This plant was fully coming out, and then the freeze hit it, and it's really having a hard time this year. Still hasn't quite come back. Got some milkweed over here, though you'd never know it. Kind of burning up over there. Another one over here, kind of burning up. Milkweed action. I really like the Mexican feathergrass. It's got a good look. This is not the season for it. It's kind of going dormant a little bit right now. Spring is the season for it, but this sure does look great in the spring. Mountain laurel right here. Bulletproof, one of my favorite screening plants. It was really important, just based on the topography of our neighborhood, to have this here so that people couldn't just look in our backyard. This thing is 5 years old, and it is huge now. I bought it. I mean, it was maybe 5 years old when I bought it. So this is a 10-year-old mountain laurel here. And man, it looks great. Fig. This is a Texas everbearing fig. And I'm not sure if we're going to get anything out of this one. I don't really water my plants. Like when I put a plant in the ground, I don't water it. But I have to water this stupid thing all the time. It requires a lot of water. Yep. This is where I put my artichokes during the winter. I've got a little irrigation system laid out here right behind the lantana. Homeowner Association says you can't grow food in the front yard. Well, this is the front yard, and I grow food here, and I just hide it behind the lantana. Here is a Mystic Spires sage. Love, love, love this plant. You can see all the pollinators around it. This plant is can till canned. I will say that it's listed as full sun. It is not full sun in Texas. It might be full sun in other places like Kansas, not in Texas. If you put this in full sun, it will not make it. Over here, beautiful garlic chives. So I planted these garlic chives everywhere that deer slept. If a deer slept in my yard, I planted a garlic chive here, and they stopped sleeping here. Well, you can see right there, they are beautiful. They just look great. They're edible, and there's a lot of chives there. I mean, if we ever need chives for anything, there's more over here. This is a Texas persimmon right here. There was a whole bunch when I moved in here. This is the last one left. I think there were 4 or 5 when I moved in here. They were all growing out here, and see how much it's leaning. What I did is I took one that fell over, and I made a stump for it here. And it's holding up this tree. It's propping it up right there. So there you go. This stump is mounted into a 5-gallon bucket. I cut the hole out of the 5-gallon bucket, mounted it in the ground so it has a sleeve so that the dirt won't compress. And then I filled it, put the bottom 4 or 5 inches with rocks, like heavy rocks, 3-inch rocks. And then I filled the 5-gallon bucket with sand. And this is mounted in the bucket. So, it should last for most of the time. You can see it looks like it's kind of sagging here. I think I might need to do something to that. But regardless, that's my prop right there. And this is the side yard right here. Pretty good.